Well, firstly, just to hear about your background as an athlete is quite interesting because you've transitioned to coaching. So, what's your background as being as being an athlete?
I think golf was never perceived as being an athletic sport,
Of course, yeah.
but clearly it is. You look at the Dustin Johnson, McIlroy, the modern golfer now is 100% an athlete. They've got their psychology coaches, they've got their dietitians, they've got their fitness guys, they've got their swing coaches, putting coaches, short game coaches. So for me, golf has evolved over the last sort of 20 years. Tiger, wow, he raised the bar. He brought fitness to it, to golf. He brought diet. You are what you eat. And when you're an athlete, you look at the guys who are sprinters, you look at the football people. So for me, any sport, any elite athlete has to look at every single department, what they're trying to achieve. It's a very selfish thing to do. On my side of things, how did I evolve as a coach? I worked so hard. I did everything I could. Blisters on my hands, all sorts of things, gym. And I got to a point where, I kind of knew, because of not my ability, maybe, I don't know, but I wanted to be a coach, and certain things happened in my life that took me down this path, and I absolutely 100%, my passion is my coaching.
Yeah.
I love coaching. I love passing on my experiences as a player, as somebody who has been with some of the best psychologists in the world, Carl Morris, Lee Crumbalone, best coaches. So for me, my passion is coaching. I love passing on my experiences, my mistakes, the things I've done wrong, different maybe avenues I might have taken, but I love my sport. I love my ability to pass on, to pass that on to the people I teach. Elite players, club golfers, beginners, any level of golf.
The whole spectrum, yeah. And a question I like to ask as well, because being a professional, so going from playing professionally and then going to coaching, how do you find the transition from being a player to going into coaching? How did you find that?
Because we all turn professional, whether it's football, whether it's swimming, whether it's tennis, whether it's golf, whatever sport, we all want to be the best. We want to play the game and earn our money from playing the game. And I was very fortunate to do that. But then possibly the coaching side of things, you look at a lot of elite sportsmen now who have finished the sport or who have transitioned into coaching. They've got so many experiences because they've been, myself included, been surrounded by the best coaches, the best psychologists, the best dietitians, and then, like what I just said before, it's nice to give a bit back and look at the next Tiger Woods, Nicholas, Messi, Ronaldo, all of the sports, Murray, tennis,
Of course,
ladies football at the moment. God, I love it. I love the way the passion is with them.
Yeah.
I love the way that they're going with it. You look at cricket, men's cricket, ladies cricket, and all of these people that are coaching potentially may have been previous elite athletes.
Yeah.
But yeah, coaching is a very rewarding thing when you see the results. That's my passion now, is not holding a 6-footer to win a tournament. Is seeing somebody hole a putt that allows them to get to the next level. And when you get that text or you get that message back from them saying, "Oh my God, Scott, I've had the most amazing round of golf today," that's my fix.
Excellent. Okay, so it's very, very player centered and very towards. It's quite deeply rooted, I'd say. This is quite a philosophical thing that I'm doing with regards to the class and the unit. So I'd say you have a very that maybe caring, something like that is something that's maybe a core value of yours, and it goes deeper than just doing it as a job.
Yeah, no, my passion. I'm very lucky that my job is my passion. My passion has been playing competitively, but my passion now is transferring the experiences I've had from failures to successes, to failures to successes, onto the people I coach, and yeah, widening my ability to coach levels.
Okay. And when you're saying about you're able, that is an advantage when I've looked at people that past players coming to coaching and using their past experiences is a big advantage because you've been there and done that. You're able to be on the same page as the athlete and say, look, I've been there, I've done that as well. But when it comes to coaching, not everyone can transfer. They might have done it, but they could be up such a high level where they can't quite coach it. Have you ever felt sometimes that maybe you've looked at something, whether it's in somebody's swing, somebody's game, or their mentality, and you've not been able to quite explain it? You can just do it. So it's been difficult to coach.
I think a really good coach is finding the trigger that works for the player, whether that is any sport. We're all different. We learn different ways, verbally, visually, kinesthetically. Videos, for me, seeing yourself train on the pitch, whether it's, as I say, golf, tennis, cricket, football. Yeah. When you see yourself, you learn faster. And the coach should be able to find that trigger for the player to enable her or he to improve. And that's the sign of a good coach, is finding that trigger verbally, visually, kinesthetically, and working with that particular player or the team to enable them to improve. And it's all about finding that trigger. You've got to find a trigger. You've got to find a
deeper onto that. It's really interesting. It's sort of basically going into the sociological side now, the socio side of coaching. So you're going into getting to know the player, relatability. I mean, a lot of people just treat them like machines as well, where there's a person there as well, and there's things gone on. Things have happened in the day or whatever like that.
Yeah.
So what was I trying to say? So what kind of things would you implement to try and, because we're trying to get, the thing is with coaching is we're trying to get inside somebody else's head, and we're trying to get them, or we're trying to get them to think as we think, and it's impossible because it's just two different entities. So what things do you put in place to try and get to know what somebody's thinking in order to get to those triggers?
Yeah, I think the key for me is interacting with the lesson. Mm-hmm. I ask loads of questions. I ask all sorts of questions. How do you feel about this sort of, where do you feel certain things? How do you learn? And you bond a relationship with a particular person, and you learn how they want to be coached, and you learn how they are going to improve, not by doing the same thing to every single person, because I don't think that's the way, personally,
No one size fits all.
forward. Because we are all different. Yeah, some people need to be told off. I don't my students off, but some people need to look at stats. Look at your stats. You're doing an amazing job. Well, I don't think I am, but look, you're running, you're hitting greens, you're hitting balls. Look at your stats, and proof is so important. But coaching is, for me, about each individual person that comes into my teaching room, on the range, out on the golf course. We're all different, and getting the best out of that player, forming a bond with that player, forming a relationship with that player, and then learning how the best way they are going to improve.
Okay.
For me, that's.
So that would align so have you ever come across a coaching philosophy? Have you ever thought about maybe your coaching philosophy, or has it came up in maybe coach education programs that you've completed?
I think my coaching is, for me, is all about, we're all different. Coaches teach different scenarios.
Yeah.
You look at DeChambeau at the moment, he's just obsessed by hitting the ball 350 yards, which is, oh my God, yeah, great. McIlroy, look at Tiger's philosophy. Coaching for me is, yes, I do believe in a certain philosophy, a certain way that the modern game has become. Strength, distance, looking after your body, being taught bigger muscles. Golf has gone from hands and arms to a body swing. Mm-hmm. The modern golfer, he or she, or the senior golfer on tour, is now using different parts of their body. They're not using the smaller muscles. So fitness is crucial. And we're all different. You look at like John Rahm. You look at Dustin Johnson. Mm-hmm. So they are built completely different. Dustin Johnson, a complete and utter athlete. He would probably be an athlete in anything he did, and John Rahm would. But John Rahm swings the golf club just past his waist, whereas DJ swings it just past his left shoulder. Yeah. So is there a right or wrong? No, there's not. It's whatever works for that particular player. And also biomechanically, can the player get themselves in that position that allows them to hit the ball potentially further or more consistently? Because bodies we're all different. We're all built different. We're all, going back to any sport, the muscles, are they short electric muscles? Are they, strength? We're all different. And as a coach, you've got to also look at how that's going to make that golfer improve.
Yeah. Okay. So with regards to a coaching philosophy, you have nothing written down or anything like that? It's very interesting.
Every individual is different. For me, every individual is different.
Yeah. Okay.
When I coach, if I coach somebody who is a beginner, or is somebody, he or she is an elite player, there's no for me, there's no book how you coach.
No. But that within itself, what you've just said then, is a philosophy as well, that there's no one size fits all as well. I think it's an interesting thing to consider, especially with looking at yourself as a coach. I talked last week to somebody when I was out in Fresno State. I reconnected with him, and he's Dr. Wade Gilbert, and he's phenomenal. He does coach education for the US Olympic squad, the NHL hockey league, he's connected with NBA players and everything like that. And he said, and I was talking about his coach education. He goes, the first thing I go up to is I go to these coaches, and these are at the top level as well. I go, do you have a coaching philosophy? Do you have anything written down? And they'll just go, and they're just going like that. it is such a simple thing. You don't need it written down, but certainly to be aware of what you are and why you coach a particular way is you can continue to reflect on it, and then it can continue to grow. So that was a question I was going to ask as well, is if you were to look at yourself as a young Scott coming in, and when you started coaching to where you are now, what would you say a difference would be, little differences, big differences would be between Scott coaching when he was younger to where you are now?
You're very kind, Zach, because I'm not young anymore. But how would I coach? When I was doing my coaching badges, there was loads of different books that you read. This was probably 30 years ago now. So there was no YouTube, there was no online stuff. It was all hard books. And for me, I looked at certain coaches on my dissertation about how to learn to coach before I went playing.
Yep.
And John Jacobs, Ben Hogan, completely different opinions about the golf swing, both completely correct. You look at John Jacobs, how he's coached people. You look at Ben Hogan, an amazing, probably, top 5 ever to play the game certainly after his car crash, etc. Would I change? How did I? Yeah. So growing up, would I change the way I coach? Would I coach differently now than what I would do 30 years ago? Yeah, I would. Yeah, purely because of technology, the golf clubs, the golf ball, the shaft technology. So that also has a massive impact on your coaching.
Of course.
Because if the technology side of things doesn't match the golf swing, then that's not going to work also. But that's a completely different, obviously, question. But no, technology and the modern way to hit the golf ball is hard, is bigger muscles, core's massive, your body, your engine. Golf swing comes from the middle part of your body with your bigger muscles. Hands and arms, flipping it over, probably is not going to work. But then, as I say, technology's moved on massive. The guys, I use GC2 quad data. Could I get that 30 years ago? No chance.
Exactly.
No chance. And John Jacobs would probably tell you that he could do a lesson just purely from the ball flight. He would see where the ball started and where it finished. And that for me is just, wow, what a coach.
That's interesting. I think that's where I've read Hank Haney's book on coaching Tiger Woods, and his main thing was the ball will tell you what you're doing.
The ball will tell you everything.
Yeah.
Where it starts, where it finishes, it will tell you everything. And it doesn't lie. It doesn't lie.
No, exactly. That's the thing.
I wish you did in my own game. But no, the ball will tell you everything. So you can see ball flight laws, whether it's closed club face, open club face, in relation to path, in relation to all sorts, will tell you absolutely everything.
And it's good because if I hadn't have played golf, I wouldn't have been able to do this. And this was before we got locked down as well. And one of the things I was talking about was that in my hour lessons, I have like a 10-minute warm up. Then it's half an hour of solid, 2 games that I'll put in, or 2 or 3 transitions. And then I'll leave a block open for open practice. So I'll literally just ask the athlete, what is there anything you want to go over? Do you want to go over the last thing again, or just keeping it open? And for the last few times, you just said shooting. They all do. They all just say we want to finish.
Corner.
But I do it. They want to do it, so it's fair enough. You want to do it, no problem. You'll do it with me. But this time, I went and watched him at a game just to see how he played and that. And he's a good player, and I didn't know that it played on his mind as much. But he goes, "Oh, do you mind if we do free kicks?" I was like, was like, yeah, no problem. I was like, we can do that. I said, we'll do it 10 minutes at the end because we won't spend a full like 15, 20 minutes on it. So we'll do a little bit of this and then we'll do 10 minutes of free kicks at the end. And then, you know, it's a dead ball situation, which is what golf is. And there's a completely different, not too much time.
That's the hardest thing.
Exactly.
A reaction sport, the ball's coming at you, you react to it. Tennis, cricket, God, but when there's a ball there, you've got to hit, and it's all of a sudden it's like a technical ability, plus also, you look at Ronaldo, you look at Messi, the free kicks they're taking. God, they practice those probably a million times.
Yeah.
But even so, when you're reacting to a dead ball, it is completely different because my mindset, where's this going to go? If I miss it, am I going to hit it in row Z? Am I going to hit it out of bounds?
Yeah.
So it is a completely different scenario than a ball firing across the face of the box.
Yeah.
And then instinctively you just rip it in the top corner.
Yeah.
So sport is very different in some aspect. Snooker.
Yeah.
Dead ball.
Of course.
You know, there's and it's funny because on a team sport, can you hide? On an individual sport, the focus is probably on you, and that is it. And in a team sport, can you hide? You probably can't nowadays.
It's become harder to hide now. I mean, they've got heart rate monitors, and then they've got cameras that can follow one player for the whole game. It's tougher to get away from it, but still you've got a human on the other end of that analysis. Whether they bring it up or not is their decision, but it's harder. But I think you can still, to a degree, sort of get away with it sometimes, but it depends what level you're playing at, though.
Yeah, I think we've got
playing and you've got all this stuff on you, fair enough. But if you're not Southpaw, if you're even lower amateur club, well, they're not going to know about that. Nobody's even recording. There's no commentary team. There's nothing there.
I think that's what we're going back to in regards to the modern sport now is all very data related, and you can't hide. You look at footballers, cricketers, rugby players, snooker players, tennis players, at all levels. As I say, ladies, gents, senior players. If you can get that extra 0.5% of your performance, then that could take you to the next level. Yeah. Whether it's diet, whether it's training for that extra 10 minutes afterwards, whether that is your fitness. Fitness is massive now. God, it's huge.
100%. And that was one thing that I was talking about with watching Tottenham against Marine AFC.
Yeah.
And that's a golden example of they have all these extra percentages. Not only are they fantastic players, but Dele Alli didn't stay in his position once. He was running around like he was having a laugh down the park. Didn't matter because he knew he had the speed and he had the strength to take over them, and he could win just on those physical attributes alone. He didn't have to have too much technical or tactical things to be aware of because he was beating them purely on strength, power, and speed.
And fitness and speed.
Fitness and speed, yeah.
It's massive, and that's any sport now. Any sport. It's you're going back to watching. You won't remember this, but I remember watching Alex Higgins playing snooker. He'd have 10 pints.
Yes, I've heard of this one actually. Yeah.
You go back to then Stephen Hendry came into the game. No, I want water, and he was the world champion for God, how many of years, and that completely changed their game. And sport has changed regarding certain things. So.
Yeah, certain attitudes and what's done now. Yeah, because if you necked a pint before going onto the football pitch or the golf course now, it's either because you're at university having a laugh or it's something like that. So, but if you were going to an event,
I mean, would you be able to start a? So I'm just going to turn these pings off on there. Yeah, would you be able to? Would you be able to now? Would you be able to perform at the level that the elite sport does now after 10 pints? You look at Ian Woosnam. You look at, I'm going to say, I shouldn't say it, but that era of golfers regarding how can you imagine McIlroy now on a Thursday night having 5 pints of lager? He's not. He's definitely not. He's definitely not. He's going to be finishing his golf off. He'll be in the gym after he's played. He'll be relaxing, have a massage. He'll be watching how he's played. His swing coach will have videoed all sorts of different positions. His putting coach will, his short game coach will, his psychologist will, and they do earn a lot of money. But then again, they are elite sportsmen.
Yeah.
And when you get to that level, that I was saying before, that extra 0.5% is worth millions.
Yeah. And getting on to specifically with golf as well, it's to all sports, and how we learn sports or how we learn skill acquisition. So with golf and how it is today, do you think perhaps maybe overcoached from the start when kids get into it?
I think golf, when you are at a certain age, I think, growing up, it's got to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be fun. The fun element will make more people at a certain age become involved in golf. But you can make it fun, and you can also make it coaching wise. So we do certain activities with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
So kids of 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 growing up all love football. We ask them all the time, who's your favourite football team? Obviously Liverpool, around here, or Everton. Luckily Man City are flying, so I'm but that's a different story. So we set follow the guidelines of the coaching elements with safety and all that side of things. But we put goal posts up, we put rugby posts up, we put targets up. So anybody growing up, exactly what you said just before that, your guy who you were coaching just wanted to kick it in the top corner. He wanted to do free kicks. He wanted to see that goal, that football go into the top corner, bottom corner. He was having fun. He was having fun. And if you have fun when you're learning, then for me, that is, we do crossbar challenges with the kids. Goalposts out there from 50, 60 yards out. Can you hit the goalpost? Or can you hit the crossbar? All of a sudden, they are really, because it is competitive. So there's a competitive spirit there, but it's a fun competitive spirit. And then it's, can you get the golf ball through the rugby posts? So we set rugby posts. So and then we change it all over. So you go from crossbar challenge, post challenge, rugby post challenge, and then we put nets out. Can you chip it in there? Can you pitch it in there? Can you hit it, over that target? And that makes it fun for the kids.
Yeah.
And that for me is it coaching probably has maybe changed from when I was certainly growing up. And you do need your elite players, and your elite players will come out of whatever group it is, and then go on to be the best players that they can possibly be in their particular sport. But growing up and at a certain age, it's got to be sport has to be fun, and then you go from there.
Definitely. So when we're looking at the typical golf lesson,
Yep.
some remarks have been made on it by some people that it's more of a biomechanics lesson than it is a golf lesson. What are your thoughts on that? And what would, to actually improve somebody, you start from scratch? What would maybe you do differently or do the same?
I would, the basics are key. So for me, biomechanics, physiology of how you're built, the key there is to work with the student. When you're starting any sport, going back to what we were discussing before about body structure, how you're built, postural wise, muscle structures, flexibility. But if you get the basics for me are key. Posture, setup, grip. In a golf swing, the only contact you have is with the grip. So if you've got a fairly solid grip, then good. There's different ways of obviously gripping the golf, club interlock, overlap, or 10 finger. There's no right or wrong. But once you feel comfortable with that postural position, dynamics of where you are, you can't. Going back to what we were saying before, golf is athletic. It's an athletic sport. It's not perceived as one, but it's athletic. And the more athletic you are, whether it regards to posture or movement, that is only going to improve you. So for me, I would work with the student. I always ask my first lesson with any student. I probably talk a bit too much if I'm being totally honest. But I get the feel of how that student is, where they are with that golf swing, where they want to go. Also asking them about certain characteristics of their golf swing. Is there a pattern there? Do they slice the ball all the time? Do they hook it? Do they top it? Do they fat it? Because you can then relate it back to certain positions in the golf swing, and finding that individual person, what is their characteristics on certain shots they hit, then you can work it back from there.
Okay. And it was interesting with the kids' lessons, you've got all that equipment out there and things like that. And I would argue that there should be no age limit on that, because I think an adult would have a perfectly good time on that as well. And when you think about it, the decisions you have to make and the shot shapes you have to hit, and you're hitting to targets. At the end of the day, you just hit into a target. That's what golf is anywhere.
Exactly.
And the skills you would get from that are incredible, whereas some people break it down so technically where you can't think of all these things, whereas
golf is instinctive.
Yeah,
it's a very instinctive sport, and I think every sport is. And do you think that Messi is thinking about where the ball is in relation to his foot, in relation to where he's going to hit it in the corner? No, he's not. He's thinking about, I'm going to pick it up, I'm going to dribble past 2 or 3 players, I'm going to smash it in the top corner. Is he thinking of that? No, it's very instinctive. Has he thought about that in training? Maybe so. But you do need technical advice, but I think every single person is very individual on how you should coach them and how you can get the best out of them. Some people like being shouted at, some people don't, and that's as a coach, you've got to interact with the individual or the team, and get the best out of that particular player, whether it's a team sport, an individual sport. And yeah, there's tough times. There's tough times because that student will come back in and be completely and utterly deflated about round of golf, the way he's played football, the way he's hit the cricket ball, or he's played tennis. And a good coach will make the negatives into a positive and send that player out feeling $1 million.
100%. Yeah. So I'm trying to think what I was going to say then. That was tough. Oh no, that was a really good one. What was I going to say? That's it with regards to like different attitudes towards how to learn a particular sport or what happens. Like with football, you go down to training, it's mostly a volunteer that's running it. You know, you go to golf and you go inside and you're hitting on a net and you're looking at a video screen, and that's what they expect from you from that. But then if I were to coach golf, I would say, you know, well, let's get you down and hitting between those goalposts and hitting those things, or let's get you on the course for a 9-hole lesson. But then attitudes towards what a golf lesson is, they might be like, no, I want to go in on the net, on the video, because that's where I'm going to learn the most. But with actual learning, they'd probably learn it just as much, if not more, from those other two facets as well.
I think the important thing there is you mix it up.
Yeah.
Completely mix it up.
You must have had resistance as well with lessons that you might have said something and they've gone totally, no, this is how it's, no, I just want it like this, not going outside and not doing this. And even though you want to help them because it's a job as well, like we all, you know, and it's the same with the football coaching. They post these videos online of these drills and they're going through, but there's no decision making going on. There's no random movements like there is in football. They're just bringing the ball back with one foot, going out with another to a cone, and they're literally going 3 feet and stuff. And they're going, oh, well, this is learning, this is practice. Like, well, when are you going to do that all the time in a game? And it's like, well, you're not.
It has to be real environment.
Yeah.
Because you can run around a cone for an hour. You can pass the ball to your colleague over there for an hour. But in reality, when that decision is made on the football pitch, on the golf course, on the cricket pitch, on the tennis court, on the snooker, whichever sport, are you going to be able to? Because if you've not experienced that on a pitch or out with your coach, so going back to the question you're asking there, Zach, is would I, if a student came to me and said, I only want to be videoed inside, I would say to them, experience outside, mix it up, let's show you the videos inside, and let's see if we can perform that outside when it's real.
Yeah.
I think it's a mix of both. Yeah, it's a mix of both.
And it's getting them to buy into it as well. And this is something that I say with one of the players that I coach, and he's going around and I'm going, right, we're doing some ball mastery together, just getting used to the feel of the ball with all parts of the foot. And then I just always say to him, I go, you'll never not do this. You'll always do this.
Oh, sure. I watched
at elite level and they stop practicing the basics. They stop doing passing and stuff like that. It's like, if anything, they're doing it more and more and going through the advanced stages of it.
Yeah, definitely. And it's coaching is hard. It's hard. It's going back to what we were just saying before. It's that connection with that player, and getting the best out of that player, whether it'll be massaging their ego. Some people like that. Whether it'll be putting an arm around them and saying, do you know what? Yeah, you've had a bad day, but I know you can have a better day than that because look at this, and showing them different figures. And it's working for me. We all, going back to what I said before, we all learn differently. We all want different coaching. Yeah, we all want to be coached differently, potentially. You can't teach, for me, on a football field, you've probably got 16 people, 11 on the pitch, 5 on the bench. Are you going to be able to coach them the same way? I personally don't think no, because we're all different. Not to say that they need to, warm up and do whatever it is that they need to do on that scenario, but it's getting the best out of that player, but also finding out how that player is going to get the best out of their ability.
Okay.
That's a good coach.
And we talked a lot about us coaching and then putting it onto the players. So it's been very player centered, what we've talked about, as well as our own coaching. But is there anything that you do to make sure that you are getting better as a coach? So, for example, do you record yourself coaching? Do you get somebody to come in and look at you coaching? Do you take part in CPD regularly?
I learn every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day. And you look at, coaching, we've all got our own opinions about coaching. I look at the best coaches in the world. I look at all sorts of people coaching, and I look at my coaching. How can I improve my coaching? Because we all evolve and we all get better on coaching from other people's or other coaches that are bringing different opinions in, and also coaches that are not bringing those opinions in. So yes, 100%.